Right. Okay. So last time I had advertisement. Come on. Last time I was earlier today I was working on having the food be gathered, and we hit a crash coming up. Turns out the crash was really simple to solve when I actually got myself down to it. So we're going to carry on from pretty much where we were before. So let's get to it. Okay. So what was the last thing I did? Okay. So resources. Right, I'm going to add a property in here. It's going to be called buried. It's a boolean. You're right, Van. And what it's going to do, basically, if a food item's buried underground, it's going to... This is a bit loud. If a food item's buried underground, it's going to be true. But otherwise, it'll be false. By default, it'll be set to false. So... Okay, and it's actually in the blueprints I'm going to interact with this, so I need to compile. Compile time. Right. So, in this resources blueprint, once it's compiled, I should be able to access the buried property. Now, what this is here is this: if the food resource is covered, it's the thing that puts the food icon on top of the tile that it's under. So basically, if it's put the food icon on the tile, then it's buried. So all I need to do is at the end of this little run, nearly that. There we are. At the end of this little run, I just need to set the Where is the resource? This is the resource, so I should just be able to go set buried is true. So yeah, that's and begin play. And what I'll do is I'll also set it here to be false, because this is under the case where it's not overlapping a well, that was fun, wasn't it? Now this, you know what this is? This is me making a change to creature again. Let me just check. Duplicate data. Yeah, it's nothing to do with me. Okay, carrying on. Don't worry, I'll go away. Oh, just thought. Oh. Yeah. Okay, so that won't have saved probably. So it was in resource BP, not 3D models. Need the level open as well. Yeah, didn't think it would save. Okay. Should only take me a second. Okay, and this is the decal leaves the tile. So this is if it gets undug, it's no longer buried. Okay. Right, we can pile fine that time. Told you it would be fine. Look at this. This is exciting. Really wants me to check out the file. Okay, so now I'm just going to add a little check into creature where it does that. I've already been preparing it. So this is a check to see if the resource is buried. So if the resource is buried, so if that returns true, it needs to remove it from the... Yep, that's right. That's correct. We're correct. It might not like me again because I've just made another change to creature, but we'll see. How is the surface coming along? It is coming along. Mostly what I'm working on at the moment is just the AI and how the AI of the individual ants and how they interact with the surface. So visually it will look the same for a long time yet until we're perfectly happy with the actual game controls. But we're trying to get some sort of demo built for these two events we've got coming up, which is the first one is an entomology society event, which is in Harper Adams University in the UK, but that's on the 8th of September, so it's in a week today. So we've got a week today to get some sort of surface in place. It won't be the final set up the surface, and I'm pretty sure we'll iterate on the surface a few more times yet. But by a week today, we should have some sort of functional level on the surface. It's probably be Monday that I'll be putting that level together, and I'll probably stream again on Monday. So it'll probably be this level, just with a lot more going on, because at the moment there's not really that much going on. Okay. Can you eat the fish over there at the moment? You could at one point, actually, but I've redone the way the fish works. See what this, and I'm about to redo the way that all works. See what these are? We're resource gathering points, so the ants could gather resources from those. And basically, what they used to be able to do is walk up to it and request a resource gathering point. Then they go to a resource gathering point and return, and only one land could be on a resource gathering point. But it wasn't foolproof, so I'm redoing the way that works. So we'll hopefully we might even get to that today if I can get through things. But at the moment we're just looking at gathering a couple of seeds. Okay, so that compiled. So theoretically, these guys shouldn't spot any resources underground because they're all buried at the moment. Yeah, they're not spotting any. And when I dig them out, we should actually get yeah, they're not creating jobs anymore, so they won't be picked up. But the soldiers should start spotting them. Which they haven't, unfortunately. I'm going to have a look in one of their brains. Stand still. Back to the behavior tree. This is the thing we put together earlier today. I'm assuming that we've probably got an issue with them actually spotting the food. It's probably the check I've just put on it as well. Okay, so he's sitting here at the moment. That's false. That's the black ant. Nearby resource is come up empty. That's coming out as false. Okay, so nearby resource isn't returning anything at the moment. Oh, hello, Lord Hand. I'm glad you like the demo. We've been getting great feedback from the demo, and I think lots of people have got excited about the game thanks to the demo. No, I haven't been at this for 6 hours. I stepped away from it for a while. I've returned now. But essentially, that's not returning anything now, and it will be something to do with the buried thing that I've recently put into it. Let's actually have a check to see if these seeds are still registered as buried. It's buried. No. That was interesting. Huh. See, that's slightly worrying because they're not actually registered as buried, but as soon as I register them as buried, then turn them off, they do spot them. Okay. I'm going to try restarting the editor. There's a small chance it might be an editor problem again because of the change we made to creature. Fingers crossed, it's an editor problem. I think this is the first time in ages I've restarted the editor. It's not been due to a crash. Does the dev blueprint layout you're showing use extended Boolean logic? I mean, it interacts with the C++ fine. It uses Boolean logic. What am I doing? No. Still in trouble here. See, it's changing the buried correctly. Which is what's concerning me. But if I change it manually, it spots it. So we have an issue here. I'm assuming it's the okay, so they won't spot any of those now. I'm assuming if I do that, they'll start spotting it again. Yeah. Strange. Right, I'm going to have a look at the C++. going to have to do a build through C++ in order to do this, in order to actually run a breakpoint like that. Oh, do I even have this set up? Let's find out. Okay, I'm running a build through the C++ at the moment. Basically, should allow me to react to that breakpoint there, and then when it reacts to that breakpoint, I should be able to see what buried's being returned as, and if that's the issue. Seems a bit strange. Will the game feature a complete custom map system like Dungeon Keeper 2 did? Not initially. We're only a small team, and we want to get the game out. Initially, it's our first project, and we don't want to bite off too much, because it'll take us forever to build that. The way you would do that, if you were doing it here, would be to actually use the Unreal editor to allow people to edit levels. But it requires us to lock down a lot of things, because at the moment, the way level design works, there's a lot of things you could do that would crash it or cause a level not to work. So we probably want to make the level design process a lot more robust before we considered that. But maybe further down the line, but it definitely won't be available at launch. Yeah. Oh, custom multiplayer. Multiplayer is something we'd love to do, and we're building the game with it in mind, although it's not going to be the main focus. Again, at launch, I don't think the game will have a multiplayer, but we'll see how successful the game is, and if it's successful, we'll consider going down that road. I say it's not something we've been promising, because with it comes a whole load of stuff where you've got to balance everything. But like I say, we are building it with that as a future possibility in mind. So, for example, a computer player in this possesses something in the same way a human player would. So we call the computer players bots, and they take control of, and they have a behavior tree. But a human player could easily take control of one of those bots from the editor point of view. So it will be a possibility in the future. We are building it with that in mind, but we can't promise it. Tempting to cancel. It's doing a full rebuild at the moment. So normally it does the hot reloads, but because I'm building it from the editor, it's doing a full rebuild of everything. So this will take it a minute. A lot of waiting around in development. Not even sure this is going to work. I'm not even sure I had this set up correctly. I'm wondering whether there's something wrong with what I've done here. Whether it's getting the right buried value. Oh, it must be though, because it is actually returning true when I'm editing manually. Oh, it's difficult to think about what actually could be going wrong here. If it's not if I can't get it going soon, I'll ignore it for now, because we should still be able to see surface food, because that starts off in a non-buried state. Any more questions? Whilst I've got whilst I'm staring at a screen that doesn't really mean anything. Oh, it's the debug symbols that it was talking about. Debug symbol loading. Oh, I thought we got somewhere then, but no, we have a new box. Any minute now. Well, that looks promising. Initializing engine. Nearly, maybe? This has been like a 5-minute launch. This is compile time. This is why programmers end up procrastinating. Because whilst this is happening, they go onto Facebook and end up doing something else. So my brother's bought a new computer. Well done him. Oh. Okay. The editor's launched. Excellent. Okay. So it happened immediately. But now it doesn't actually seem to be doing anything. Okay. Cool. It's not giving me the information I want. Oh. No, it's not giving me the information I wanted it to give me. That was a waste of time. False equals false. Yes, thanks for that. Really useful information. Although it has actually got to here at the moment. Oh, it's removing actives from it. Yeah, okay. Yeah. This information it's given me isn't useful. What I wanted was I wanted to know what buried was returning as. To be fair, there's a much quicker way of me finding that. Okay, let's not do that again. Ooh. Right, another question. Will the final game feature a greater variety of rooms? Also, does your team have a Discord? It will, yeah. There's we've got quite a large range of ant types that you'll be able to construct. There's also a different type of room as well. There's something we're calling a specialist, which will be ants that have a direct impact. So, for example, if you have the first one you get is the Formicoraptor specialist ant, which is able to burrow out the ground at the point you want them. So the idea is that, but they're a temporary unit, so they'll burrow out the ground, attack for a while, then burrow back down into the ground. Then it'll take a while for that to recharge. So yeah, there'll be a greater variety of rooms and a variety of what the different rooms can do. Discord, we don't have a Discord, I'm afraid. Okay, so what I want to do then, instead of trying to run it through a breakpoint, let's just get the info out, shall we? So I'm just gonna... Oh, sugar. What's that? I have no idea what I just pasted then. I might have copied and pasted something by accident. What I meant was to copy this. Yeah. Right, so this is just going to copy this information out. So what I want is if something is not buried, just give me a message. Don't actually need any data to come with it. Not buried. Hopefully this compile should only take a short period of time. I've barely made any changes. How many hours do I dedicate to this? I'm part-time on it. So, but it varies because it's my own, because there's 3 of us, and it's my own project. So often I'll dedicate a lot of hours because I'll be working late. But what I probably do 3 working days a week on it on average. But when the deadline's coming up, I'll work the whole weekend and everything as well. Like at the moment, we've got the events coming up, so that's going to change things. We've got one guy that works on this completely full-time, and it's his full-time job. Hoping that if it's a success, it'll one day become my full-time job. But at the moment, we can't afford me to be taking money from the project. Okay, so what am I looking for? We've just compiled, haven't we? So I'm hoping that we get some info out of this. It's not looking promising, to be honest with you. Interestingly, we didn't even get this message. Oh no, we are getting that message. Not buried. Okay. So I'm just keeping my eye on the output log. Right, so does that message come up even without me manually changing the value? No. So it looks like that is the issue. So once I manually change it, yeah. Okay. One more thing I'm going to test is, does that message come up on the surface? Because if it comes up on the surface, I can carry on with my task anyway. I think the answer is yes, it does come up on the surface. Okay. I need to speak to the other programmer about this particular issue. So I'll just leave him a quick message. But for now, I'm going to move on. So I'm going to ignore gathering resources from underground. Thanks, Sable Dragon. Okay, so I can carry on with what I'm doing, even though that is broken underground. I need to come back to that. Like I say, I'll speak to the other programmer, the other lead programmer, or the lead programmer. He'll know more about it. He's much more familiar with the Unreal Engine than I am. Okay, so they're spotting the food resources on the surface. Now they need to react to them. So I need the soldier blueprint. Okay, so let's say it spotted a resource. If it spots a resource, it restarts its logic, and this value, nearby resource, will be set. So in the behavior tree, similar to the way we did do I have nearby enemy, we need to pretty much copy that for do I have nearby resource. It should be the next step along, so it checks for enemies first. If it doesn't have a nearby enemy, it will then check for resources. So if I find this, duplicate it. So do I have nearby resource? Okay. So this is currently just a duplicate of do I have nearby enemy. What I'm doing is just get nearby resource. Is just swapping this. Is in play doesn't work in this situation. So what's this? This is a branch to check that it's valid. So if nearby resource is valid, it won't be held by anyone at the minute. So I'm actually just going to quickly remove these checks here so they're not constantly coming up. Okay, so it doesn't need to do the is in play check. It doesn't need to do a is held check because it's only just done that. So what we'll do, if it's valid, we'll just return true. So it's spotted a resource. If it's valid, we'll return true. Hence, we will enter this branch of the behavior tree. So this is going to be a selector like the other one. Add a service. No, not a service decorator. Do I have nearby resource? Here we are. So basically, if that's true, it will end up in here. So if it's got a nearby resource, what does it need to do? See what this does, that's the attack loop. If it has a nearby resource, it needs to move to it, I guess. Alright, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get inspiration from the worker behavior tree because they've already dealt with resources before. So I'm looking for the food job. It's brood job. Food job, okay. So it's not am I carrying food? That should be the next area, if you will. So it's as if they're not carrying food yet. Needs to move to the target. So it needs to target the food source, move to the target. Acceptable radius 20. So it just needs to move to it. Simple enough. It needs to target it first. Not target requisitioner, target. See, there's a function here, target nearby enemy. We need to duplicate that, don't we? We need to duplicate it and rename it to target nearby resource. And then make it work for resources. So, what I've learned from today's Twitch stream is if you're compiling for 10 minutes, it really does reduce your audience. Completely unsurprisingly, to be honest with you. Okay, so nearest enemy creature. So what we want is get a nearby resource. What this is doing here is checking if it's equal to nothing. If it is equal to nothing, it just fails. Yeah, that we may as well keep with that check in there. Else it sets it and succeeds. Okay. Target nearby resource. Move to. What was the worker doing? Worker. Moving to something called current target. But I don't think soldiers have anything called current target. There's a function here called move to creature. What does that do? Does exactly what it says on the tin. Moves to a target creature. I'm going to create a function called move to creature target. It's going to be based on this. And it'll basically move to whatever you're targeting. I was on. We're at like 9, I think, 8 or 9. It wasn't massive, but it was just like it was double what I had a minute ago, and it's just like, yep, 10 minutes of compiling is gonna kill that. Is gonna kill your audience. Everyone loves to watch 10 minutes of compiling, right? It's everyone's dream to watch a program compile. Move to creature. Yeah. So I've just created something called move to creature target. I need to close some of these. Target nearby resource. Target nearby enemy. Okay. No, don't want to open that. It's move to creature target. There we are. Okay. So what this did here. Right. Yeah. With enemy creatures, there's a funny calculation. Well, it's not funny. It's normal. There's a calculation done. When a creature has a reachable distance, which is how close another creature needs to be in order to reach it, and a creature also has an arrival distance, which is meant to be the length of its like body to its head, to say, right, I need to be at least this close from my central point in order to attack it. But we don't need that. We need it to an extent, actually. In the... We do actually need it. In fact, resources should have it. Resources should have something called reachable distance on them. Well, I think they should anyway. I know you all agree. Yeah, static wall of text. Exactly. It's what gets you up in the morning, is being able to watch half an hour of text, isn't it? So I think resources need this stat as well. I'll take it directly from creature. So it's reachable distance. Okay. I'm just wondering what creature has its default value. Right, I've got another issue here, is that I've called it move to creature target, which is meant to be more generic, but this arrival distance thing is not generic. It's very specific to resources. I'm going to compile it again, actually, because I need access to what I've just made. So instead, I'm going to change this function to be less generic, because it's no longer going to work on anything but resources. So instead, it'll be move to resource. The only other issue we got is this is not going to be the only type of resource, because at the moment these are just individual resources, but there's also the larger resources such as the fish you saw. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so let's ungeneric the name of this. So move to resource. There's not going to be that many things in the game that you move into, but I guess the other type of resource is like a large resource, such as it is a corpse of something like a fish or something that you harvest, and will have a lot of resources in it until it's depleted. But one thing at a time. Maybe 50 was a bit too much for the default value. Because, I mean, it's resources are a lot smaller than okay. So that's pretty much the that's pretty much that done. Okay, there's something else I need to build in, which is ants being able to lock off a resource. They're saying, right, now I'm gathering this one. But I'll do that in a moment once we've got the process working. That's another good point. It'll need to do a check that the resource still exists. At that point, yeah, when it gets to the point where it's arrived at the resource, it needs to do another check to check that another ant hasn't picked it up. What am I doing? What am I doing? Yeah. Targets the resource, moves to the resource. Yeah, that's going to be the second point of this, because this is the attack thing on this one. In this one, yeah, okay. We'll worry about that in a moment. So basically now we should see them. If I put that there, that should be close enough. What we should see is the ants walk up to near here, spot the resource, and head for it.
And we didn't.
that was coming up as no. Always coming up as no. I've probably done something wrong in do I have nearby resource, to be honest with you. I suspect that's what I've done. Quick check. Okay. See if that ever runs. If it does, I might be able to get some info from it. No. So that's just coming up as negative each time. Okay, so nearby resource is probably not getting set, right? I mean, soldier behavior tree. It's meant to get set in here. Here. Here, actually. So, nearby resource. So that sets nearby resource. Down here, it does. So if nearby resource is equal to nothing, is not equal to nothing. So it's equal if nearby resource is equal to something. Restarts the logic. Then I'm gonna get some text. Spotted a resource. What I'm going to do as well is I'm going to delete 2 of the black ants at the moment. Any 2 of them, don't care. So there's only 1 ant that should be returning anything here. Okay, so, and in this condition check, checking. I need to know what this is. I'm suspecting that might come up with an error. Oh no, there we are. So that should, yeah, each time it does a check, it should be every... Seems to do a check each time it hits a wall. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's what I was expecting. Okay. The fish. Have to admit, I was not expecting that. Do I have nearby resource was essentially restarting constantly. And it was coming back with the fish. Let me have a quick look at the fish. It's a surface resource. And what is a surface resource? It's been a while since I've actually looked at this class. To be honest, I should probably delete the fish to stop this. It's a surface resource. It's a resource. It absolutely should be returning that. Sorry, there's a car alarm going off. I'm gonna... Oh, it stopped. Okay, so yeah, it should definitely be returning the fish. So let's, for now, put the fish over there. So, now here's the question. Are these buried? Is that why it's not picking them up? I mean, they're not buried, obviously. We know that. But is the engine assuming they're buried? No. Okay. I'm going to try something ridiculous that definitely should not work. Oh, God. I have a theory why that's doing that, and it would possibly solve the other issue we had as well. Soldier behavior trees is going to be going mad at the minute. It's never actually getting into the move too. I'm assuming it's always failing. Alright. It finished with a success there. So maybe it is actually getting into the move to command. So look, shall we? No, it's never actually getting into the move to command. It is finishing with a success. No, I know exactly what's happened. Sorry, it's my stupid fault. But I only know, I've got a theory on what's happening with the, where I need to click and unclick the boolean. And I think it's because it's returning the wrong types of things, but I'll go into that in my own time. For now, I will just click and unclick the boolean until we can get this working. Okay. So yeah, it's because this is a selector. So as soon as one succeeds, it stops. So when that's succeeding, it's stopping. That should really be a sequence. However, what I want to do instead of changing that to a sequence is add a sequence in, because there's going to be a second part of this which is actually picking up the item. And we're gonna need something similar to this. No, am I close enough to resource? It's going to be very similar to this one. Okay. Current target, instead of cast a creature, cast to resource. Target creature. Let's rename this to resource. No, let's make a new variable actually. Which is to be resource. Reference. Sorry, it's up here, isn't it? Okay, it doesn't actually need to do a is target in play check. Instead, it should do it is target is valid. Start removing these. So if it is valid, go along here. If it's not valid, it doesn't need to change any animations. It's not valid. It doesn't need to change any animations. Let's return false. Okay. Okay, now here is the distance check. Target creature, self creature. Okay, so I need target resource. Reachable distance. Okay. I think that should be fine. It's just doing a square distance check. Now, I don't know if you're aware of a square distance check. It's quite common in programming. But basically, if you're going to work out the distance, if you want the exact distance to something, you need to use Pythagoras theorem, which does a square and a square root. It squares the individual numbers, then square roots them. However, if you just want to do a check against another distance, you don't have to square root it at the end. You can just square them all, and it will be proportional. So it's just a cheat of doing way of doing it on the cheap, essentially. Oh, note on this one: the execution path does not end with a return node. You're absolutely right. It does now. Okay, so if the square distance is less than or equal to the squared length of one of the distance from one to the other. Okay, yeah, I'm sure that's fine. Right? Maybe. So this is, am I close enough to resource? Do I have a nearby enemy? Okay. So this next one, this should be an inverse condition if you're not close enough to it. Now the next one we do is just a I need to do a pickup creature target. What if nearby resource has been changed? Okay, spotting a potential issue here. If the nearby resource has been changed somewhat, let's think about it for a minute. Just gonna nip to the restroom. Back in a moment. Right. Okay, I'm back. Oh look, my view my viewer count went up whilst I was away. So clearly, the way to get more viewers is for me to not be in shot. Ah, music stopped. Pick a new album. Oh no, still going. It's in between tracks. Okay, so this pickup target was actually... It's really complicated. I suspect that's overcomplicated. I think that's a really old function. That'd be one of the first ones I made, actually. Okay, let's change this to pick up creature target. Duplicate. So I'm going to make a new one. So slowly phasing out some of the blueprint stuff, and I'm still making blueprints, but some of the blueprints we're planning on removing. I don't want to use blackboards too much. I started using blackboards when we first did it, but now as we slowly remove blueprints from it. Right, anyway. So that's pick up target. I don't care about that at the moment. I care about pick up creature target. Right, this is horribly complicated. Except event receive execute AI. Right, so this is something they added in that makes things a lot simpler. Okay, I see what this is doing, and it's not a simple function. So here we've already got a reference to the AI controller, which is what that's doing. So at first I'm going to need I'm going to rewrite this function to be a lot simpler. So I'm going to store a reference to the creature. So add two variables in. It's going to be creature ref. This creature, and a reference to the AI controller. Do I need the AI controller? Just hang on, give me 1 sec. I'm just working out if I need the AI controller. So this sets a reference to the AI controller, but where's that? Looks like it's used a few times actually. It's used to get the creature. It's only used to get the creature, so all I actually need is a reference to the creature. So I made the thing called this creature. Creature reference. Cool. So control pawn. That's the creature. Okay, so storing a reference to the creature. I'll need that later. Okay, so once it's got a reference to the creature, what's the next thing that happens in this? It sets the animation to pick up animation. Does it always do that? No, not necessarily. Yes, it does. It does always do that. Both of those roots end up over here. So yeah, it sets the animation to pick up animation. Okay. I'm actually not sure if the soldiers yet have a pickup animation. That's an interesting thought, actually. If it crashes, we know why. Okay, so pickup animation. Set interpolate to mouth target. So yeah, this is what you're targeting. So we want to set interpolate to mouth target. This interpolate to mouth moves the item from the floor to the mouth in a smooth movement. Good with the program. See ya, Sable Dragon. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, so set interpolate to mouth target. There we go. Okay, so the target needs to be the creature's not second. Get current target. There we go. See how this is a lot neater than the stuff up here. I'm essentially recreating the function, but I mean, where are we on? We're at this point now. Interpolate to mouth target. Next is the delay. Uses something called worker pickup time. That, I think that should be a colony creature. Just a general creature stat, actually. Pickup times, the amount of time it takes it to actually pick something up off the floor. So I'm actually going to introduce this as a stat to creature. Now, as we all know, when I make any changes to creature, the engine goes mental. But it's not creature, it's colony creature I want to change. So I'm going to actually have to check it out of the source control. By the way, the thumbnail for my past broadcast earlier today is a thumbnail of the engine crashing. Great moment to capture me there. Okay, I've checked out colony creature, which means I can make changes to it. Colony creature. Okay, so I just need to add a stat to it. So Fuko Max. So it's camera receive job, build amount, build speed, food harvest time. I guess that's different to pickup time. Oh no, I didn't want to change it on colony creature because I thought, yeah, because one ability in the game, well, a few abilities which Titans might have is the ability to pick up units whilst they're doing damage to them. So we're like, grab an ant in their jaws and hold them up in the air. So colony creature, normal creatures will need it as well. So it needs to be added in here. There's nothing called pickup in here, so let's add it in. This is the amount of time it takes for something to travel from where it currently is into its jaws. Dig amount, dig speed, target radius. I wonder why dig speed's in here. Anyway, very similar to this. So just shove it in. Pickup time. Just a float. I'll give it a default value. Default value of what? 30 milliseconds, half a second maybe? Actually, what was it set to? Half a second. So yeah, I need to default that to half a second. No, 0.5F. Okay. So we've got a default value. I'm going to save things because I've just made a change to creature. We know how much the engine loves that. Really loves it. Any questions whilst I'm compiling? I mentioned the events again, I guess. Right, the important one is probably EGX Birmingham. So we're going to be at EGX Birmingham, which is on the 22nd to the 25th of September, in a couple of weeks' time. There's still tickets available if you fancied going along. We'll be in the indie area. I can't remember what it's called. I'll have a quick look at this. If you look at what to find us on this site, you really have to dig. So what's on? Discover amazing indie games. So show floor, res zone. This is us. We're in here somewhere. There we are. Just one of many, but we'll have a small booth. We'll have like the one area big booth there, and that just goes to our website. Yeah, it does. Cool. So yeah, we'll be EGX Resd. I believe they got a message about Saturday tickets are running low, but sounds like you can still get even Saturday tickets. So yeah, if you fancy coming along to see us, we'll be there. Or just coming along anyway. There's loads of other stuff to do at these events. Really busy. When you're sharing a game, unfortunately, you don't really get much time to do much else. Right. Okay, so that compiled. Half a second's fine for the standard soldier. So we want a delay. So what a delay does is it just literally waits at this point in the behavior tree. The behavior tree won't go on until this timer's over. Timer coming from creature. Pick up. Damn it. Okay. So it delays for half a second, then after half a second, it picks up the actor. Which looks like it's just another function of creature. Pick up actor. And the actor to pick up. Right. Okay. Here's the issue. If we pick up this actor, what if two ants try and pick it up? So, I mean, anyone's going to be able to pick it up, right? Anyone will be running this at a time. So maybe before we do anything, let's just do a. Even before we do that, I should just do a quick check to make sure the the actor hasn't been picked up. So what we're going to have a quick check is to see if it has an owner. If it has an owner, it's been picked up. So again, that's a not equal to. So it's not equal to nothing. So basically, if it's equal to something, we fail. So if it's equal to nothing, so it still doesn't have an owner. Right. At this point, the ant is trying to pick it up. We need to add another check in. We need to do this again after the delay. Because there's a chance another ant may have grabbed it in the meantime. I'm going to try and put fail safes in to make sure this doesn't happen. So if it hasn't been picked up still. The other issue that might occur, considering we waited a while, is it might no longer exist. So why might it not exist? Okay, I'm gonna create a system now. Which is gonna be interest on a food item, on a resource. And basically this is gonna try and stop other ants from picking up the same food item. Something I needed to do. I knew it was coming up soon. I think for now I'm just going to build it in the blueprints, just for the sake of speed and ease. Okay, so I need to get to the resource BP. Okay, that code no longer does anything, but I need this tick. Shove that away. Okay, so if an ant wants to pick up a resource, it's going to have to. What it's going to do as it does it is it's going to say. It's going to look at the resource. It's going to go, "I'm after this resource." Okay, so Here's the next question. Should this be done by a player-by-player basis? When an ant is interested in a resource, should it lock enemies out of doing anything with the resource as well? Or should it only lock allies? I think for the sake of convenience at the moment, I'm just going to lock everyone out. So basically an enemy and an ally can't go for the same food item at the same time. This, of course, only accounts for... Ugh. An alarm. This, of course, only accounts for single food items. Because if you've got a large food item, like a dead fish on the surface, or a killed titan, these aren't going to be the same, and you can have any amount of interest in those. But these are just individual food items. So maybe there should be a special case for the large ones anyway. Maybe it should be treated as a completely different task until up to a certain point. Probably. Okay. Well, anyway, for now, I'm going to create a function. Should it be a function? What does it need to do? It needs to receive... It needs to be a timer and a boolean, really. That just locks out anyone else from looking at the resource for a certain amount of time. So if I have a function, you call a function with passing in. Do you pass in yourself? Or does it even matter? Does it just need to check that there's nothing else there? I have to make some sort of decision here. Let's go for the simplest solution at the moment, which is I'll start with a function. It will be okay. So if you register interest on an item, on a food item, this is going to need to receive itself, because it's going to need to check that it's that's got the interest, because you can lock it out again and again and again. So you lock out others being able to look at the food item for 1 second. So there's going to be an input to this function, which is going to be a creature reference. it's going to be called interested creature. Now the function is going to return a boolean which will be false if a creature is not allowed to be interested in it. So if a creature tries to register its interest and fails, it will return a boolean. Okay, so first what it's gonna do is it's gonna have a local variable called registered creature. So if the timer has not reached 0 yet, that needs to be a creature reference. Right, if registered, right, the timer is going to have to be a non-local variable. It's interest timer. And basically, if interest timer is greater than 0, so if it's ticking, then there's already a creature interested in it. So it needs, we need a branch to check whether the interested creature is the currently registered one. Okay. But that's only if the timer is greater than 0. If timer's at 0, yeah, so we need another branch. Branch. Okay. Okay, so if it is greater than 0, that means the time is currently ticking. Then we need to do the creature check. If it's not, we can bypass this check. Okay. So if it is equal or or the timer's not ticking, we're allowed to register our interest. So to register our interest, we need to set registered creature to be the interested creature. Set the interested timer to be 1 second. This is the same, by the way, if that... Oh, damn it, no. It's there. Okay, so if it's not equal to it, then we're going to fail. If it's not equal to it, we're going to fail. Just failed. If it is equal to it, or if the timer's at 0, we set the registered creature, we set the interest timer, we return success. Don't like how long that's taking. Don't crash on me. Don't crash on me. Whew. Alright, calm down. Checking it out, I'm checking it out. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is outside of this function, because we're inside the register interest function at the minute. So here, all this is going to be a bit of a branch, and it'll be, the condition will be interest timer. If that is greater than 0, set interest timer to be interest timer minus change in time. So that's just going to make the timer tick if it's above 0. True. If it's greater than 0. Okay. Now we actually need to make the creatures register their interest. So, this is going to be in... Here. So it's here where it decides what it's doing. And this is if this is This is if. So every half a second or so, it's doing a quick scan to see if it can see any enemies or resources. If it finds a resource, if it doesn't find an enemy but finds a resource, then it ends up here. So what if it's in combat? It will have an enemy. I've made so many changes today. It's so hard to test it without continuing. Okay. So at that point, it registers its interest. But it needs to register it on the resource. So it's casting it because I'm doing it in the blueprint. Whew. Right, so that's it registering its interest. However, I need to... Just thought I actually need access to the in there was something something inside the function, register interest function, that I think I need on the outside, the register creature. Basically, I want a way of checking whether I need a way of checking if it's free to register itself to it without actually registering itself. So I wonder if I can move that to I wonder if it's movable to... It doesn't look like it is. Okay, so I've basically made that more publicly available. It was a little bit awkward, but it's done. One of those situations that would have been far easier to do in code, because you could have just moved it from private to public. It takes ages to compile this function. Seems to be the bane of my day. Compile time. Okay. So I'll call this check. Check interest. And what this is going to do is it's going to do exactly the same thing, only rather than actually registering anything, it's just going to return true. The same function, only without actually setting anything. So it can register its interest if it's the creature that's currently registered to it, or the timer's at 0. Fair enough. Okay. I have Unreal. I have the U4 too, but one question: can I script whatever I want with the blueprint editor? Yeah, the blueprint editor is actually very robust. It's very fleshed out, should we say? And the reason is because it pretty much just maps to the functions in C++. There are some things you can't do in the blueprint editor that I've come across, but they tend to be really quite in-depth stuff, like basically if you're making a standard game that plays by normal first-person shooter rules, for example, you shouldn't have a problem. You should be able to do it all from the blueprints. But if you the game that we're making is quite a bit more involved. So there's certain things like the detour crowd options that are hidden from blueprints, or various other bits that you don't get access to. I remember there was a problem we were once having that was a really strange one, which was due to our ants being shorter than longer than they are tall. Because normal characters in a game are taller than they are long, but because that wasn't the case, it was creating some weird interaction with how far away the ants. It was saying the ants were to something. And in order to fix that, we had to change a variable which wasn't accessible through blueprints. And I wasn't me that fixed it. It was the lead programmer. He figured it out because I'd been bashing my head against the wall for days trying to figure that one out. And as you can imagine, bashing your head against the wall doesn't tend to solve problems. unless your problem is that you haven't got a big enough headache. Okay, so where was I? I just keep closing things until I find where I want to be. This is it, isn't it? Register interest. Okay, yeah. So in here, nearby resource. I've just realised something. This needs to go into the C++. All of what I've just done in resource needs to go into the C++ code. Because nearby creature needs to be checked. Nearby resource needs to be checked in the C++. So unfortunately, I'm not. I need to move the functions I've just made into C++. What do we use to design the ants? It's actually Blender. All the 3D models in the game have been built in Blender, mostly because it's free. It's the best free 3D modeling package out there. I know the guy who does the art would love to use 3ds Max and or the other various ones, but we simply don't have the money for it. To buy that package outright is thousands. You can go onto a subscription model with it, but the subscription model is quite a lot of money as well. It's not thousands, but over a long period of time it adds up. Yeah, Blender's great. It's not the best out there, but it's definitely the best free one. I want to convince our art guy to do some artwork on stream, but he's not as confident as I am in front of a webcam. Well, maybe I'll get him to do it one day. Maybe I'll get him to do it without him interacting. So it just the recording of the stream, just so people can see it coming together. Okay. So I just realised all of what I've just done in resource blueprint is relatively useless. Fun times. Well, I can copy it function for function into the C++, and here you'll see as I do it that the C++ functions map very closely to the blueprints. It's not quite as forgiving if you get something wrong. But anyway, here we go. So I need the resource blueprint. Do I have nearby resource? Nearby enemies. I think I've closed it. So I need the resource blueprint to show me what these functions do. So there'll be a check interest and a register interest. Maybe even the larger resources will have a register interest, and there'll just be a limit on the amount of creatures that can be interested, but it'll just be really high. Who knows? I have problems with Unreal. It won't launch. It just fails all the time. The engine, you mean? When you try and launch the engine? Does it give you an error message? Okay, so it's register interest that I'm interested in. Haha. So yeah, let's do this. So it's in resource CPP. Right, let's create a function. Right, it's going to be callable from that's not right. I'm trying to work around this microphone. I just moved the microphone slightly. It'll be fine. Okay, so it's going to be a U function, so I'll just copy that just to get the syntax right. It's going to be called register interest. It's not going to be a void, it's going to be a Boolean. If you remember from the other one. And it's going to receive a creature pointer called interested creature. Now, I don't think resource will actually know what a creature is. At the moment, it's doing an IntelliSense operation. Yeah, that's what those dots going mean, which means it's checking my code to see if there's any errors on it. And I suspect it's going to tell me that this is a problem. That's because it doesn't understand what a creature is. I don't know what a creature is, it says. And what we've got to do is we've got to include the creature in the package. So it might be alright. I'll keep it in mind though, because it might go a bit crazy later. Ooh, what's this? Something that's completely commented out. Huh, that function's clearly not used. Okay, so it's a bool. It's called, what did I call it? Register. To be honest, I don't need to type all this out. I can just okay. So what did the... Right, I'm going to put this up on my other screen, so I won't be able to read your messages for a moment because I'm putting the old function up on the other screen. I'm just going to copy it. Okay, so the first thing it did, I need to create two properties. Float. Interest timer. This is what I get for trying to take shortcuts and build things in blueprints. Okay. That's what I get for trying to be clever. Oh, I should just... I don't need it to do that. I can find it myself. Okay, so inside this function, first thing it does is it checks, so it needs an if statement. So if interest timer is greater than 0, if it's less than 0, it can do it anyway. So if the interest timer has hit 0, or it was if registered creature is the same as or if registered creatures is the same as interested creature. It's actually a lot easier in code. Set the registered creature to, and then we also want to set the interest timer. Noob programming mistake. Good job I spotted it then, because that would have confused me later. Interest timer. 1 second. Okay, and the next thing we need to do is in here, in tick, if interest timer is greater than 0, yeah. Interest timer minus equals the change in time. So that was a lot easier than the... Okay, so the next function I need to build is the one that just checks it. So not register interest, it's check interest. Still returns a bool. Still needs an interested creature. IntelliSense is so slow. Right, let's have a quick look at see if anyone's said anything. Oh god. There's been talking going on. How did you get a team like Human Team to make the game with? Yeah, yeah, yeah. We've been friends for a very long time. Yeah. To be honest, we weren't sure we wanted to make a game until kind of later in life. I did engineering in university. It was during the time at the university that we actually decided we wanted to make a game. Well, that seems like ages ago now. I like finished uni like 6 years ago. Um, although we kind of we didn't get around to actually building it until years later. And this is where we are now. We've been working on the game for on and off for about 3 years, but seriously for about one. Um, yeah. Right. Okay. So I need to. But if you know you want to make games, you don't just do it. The best way to get into the game making scene is to make a game. I mean, there's plenty of things we used to experiment with. Little projects we used to make. We used to make stuff in Flash. That seems to be less popular these days. Check interest. Okay, so again, it's I haven't returned anything here yet. So again, this is exactly the same as the other one, only it doesn't actually register it. So we're good. Okay, I think they're done. What I want to do before I'm going to bring Unreal. Oh, oops. Unreal back over. It was here that I used it. Yeah, register interest. So we'll get rid of that for now. I'm about to delete it on the resource blueprint. I'm about to delete these two. So register creature needs to go. Interest timer needs to go. Register interest needs to go. Check interest needs to go. It really doesn't like compiling this, does it? Funny. Where did I learn coding? I taught it myself. Well, it's not entirely true. C++, I taught a lot of coding to myself. Certainly when I was working in Flash, I taught that to myself. However, C++ was actually taught to be my friend who's working on the project with me. Because when we started this project, we weren't sure what language we wanted to build in. I was fluent in web languages and ActionScript and Java, but not C++. But he was very good with C++ because he did his PhD in C++. Like, he wrote all the code in his PhD in C++. So he wanted to build the project in C++. So, and that's what Unreal works in as well. So we went about, and he actually helped me a lot during those early times. it really did help to have someone who could answer my questions, basically. If you're interested in coding, though, you want to there's plenty of online communities. There's also, you might find groups in your area that are interested in coding. I don't know how old you are, but if you're still young, maybe there's something at school. If you're not so young, you might want to check that if there's a local meetup, um, to see if there's a local programmers meetup. Meet other people interested in the same thing. Yeah, I do a game dev meetup in Liverpool, um, which is so far it's just been, to be honest, it's been more of a social event, just to get to know people in the local area that are interested in it, and it's only a small event at the moment. I need to organise another one, actually. I need to get that going. Okay, so where was I? Right, okay, I've removed that from the code. Now I need to compile the C++ code. I'm just going to save everything before I do, because I know this can be a bit temperamental. Right, I'm going to get a drink whilst that's compiling. Hey! That's why I save everything. Okay, have a quick look at the error and see what we've got. Okay, it's to do with the engine itself. It's nothing to do with us. Don't worry about it. Everything will work when we boot it up again. That's why you save everything before you compile. Oh, are you talking about the old build of the game? You might be talking about the old build of the game. Uh, um, yeah, there was an old. But that was back when. I mean, I can have a quick look on the. I mean, I don't know how well you can see this, but this is back when we were trying to build it for Android. So this is the old Android version of it that's been built on. Hang on. Big John. And this was actually when we entirely built our own engine, uh, which was perhaps one of the first mistakes we ever made, was trying to build our own engine. But yeah, you could tell the ants to dig stuff out. And yeah, there was a surface on this as well. Although the mechanics on the surface weren't good, because we've since worked really hard on the mechanics. But in this version, there's like we made several mistakes when making this. For example, there you can build loads of different types of ant already. Um, uh, but basically we tried to plow ahead too fast with content without actually getting the mechanics right. And in the Unreal build of the game, we've focused instead on the mechanics, which is why you can only see two types of ant in the game at the moment. But the game actually plays well, whereas in this, it played terribly, but it had loads of different types of ant. So yeah, it's but yeah, there's a surface in this version and everything. But like I said, it didn't play very well. I mean, at some point we might let people have a go with it, but really, it was a bit of a mess. Yeah, all the different ants and everything they're all going to come to the Unreal version eventually. It's just we're going about the development process a lot more logically this time. Also, that build's not particularly stable. There's all sorts that can go wrong with it. But we'll consider it in the future, or maybe we'll do maybe when we release, we'll do like a short documentary about the development process. I think that'd be nice if we could do that, and obviously showing old builds like that makes sense then. This is just Coke, by the way, nothing else. Appreciate the enthusiasm. We're really happy that people really enjoy the demo. Okay, so what am I actually doing? I was compiling, wasn't I? Yeah, it actually did compile. So I need to again get back to where I was in the soldier behavior tree. Okay, we can almost see something visually now. We're very close to the point where we can actually test this out visually. Had so many changes to make, but okay. We don't need to cast it to a resource blueprint anymore because it's not a blueprint. Oh no, but it needs to be cast to a resource because it's an actor. Yeah. No, there's no. We never made it publicly available. Just videos of it. And I wouldn't honestly at the moment I wouldn't be happy making it publicly available. I appreciate the enthusiasm, but not that build. Okay. Cast to resource. Register. Okay, and up here, there needs to be a check to see. So first of all, it needs to check if the nearby resource is equal to something. If nearby resource is equal to something, then we need to check that we can actually that someone else hasn't registered themselves onto it first. Check. If that returns true, then it's allowed. Okay. I think we're alright here. I think we're alright. Okay, so now that's done. The things register themselves and check if there's something already registered before they go hunting for them. Okay, so back to where I was ages ago before I went off on this massive tangent. Pick up target. I was creating something. It wasn't called pick up target. Pick up creature target. Okay. So that's if creature nearby resource okay, so if nearby resource is not equal to nothing, so if nearby resource is equal to something, oh, get owner. So if there is no owner, so if it's not been picked up, it can pick it up. Yeah. Like, it needs to re-register its interest. So just before it goes into the delay, I want it to register its interest again. It will only be here. Right, yeah. Okay. It will only be here. Am I close enough to resource? Yeah, so that check will deal with that side of things. That will make sure that we're. But it's not pick up target I want. It's pick up creature target. Okay, so that's doing a check to see if it's close enough to actually pick it up. I've heard this album about 4 times now. I'm going to switch album. The new Scroobius, well, the newest Scroobius Dan Lassac and Scroobius Pip album. I can't play the music on stream because it'll repent, replenish, repeat. I don't think that's actually on here. I can't play music on stream because they stop me from uploading videos. I'll just listen to distraction pieces. Right. Pick up actor. Oh, of course, yeah. Set its animation to none. Success. Okay. So current target will be the resource. Oh, that finishes execute with a failure there. So the current target will be the nearby the resource. It better blooming be. I'm trying to think whether, because it constantly does that scan thing. So I probably shouldn't use nearby resource at all, because that could potentially change even when it's picking up. So what I want to do really is get target, current target, instead of using nearby resource in this function, as I really shouldn't be using it. It's alright, that's fine. Will that ever fail? Shouldn't. Okay, so as a resource, it's going to... Oh, come on. What's it going to do? Let's register its interest again. So basically that's going to lock anyone else out from being able to pick it up whilst it's picking it up. I have no idea whether this is going to work. Okay. We saved. I believe we're saved. I don't think there's anything left to compile. Let's give it a go. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, so it's basically not spotting anything. Yeah, there's no... Oh no, this is the same problem that we had earlier. It'll spot it now. Should be close enough to spot it there. Or not. Okay. Right, that none is coming from here. It's coming from here. It's trying to target a nearby resource. So basically, nearby resource isn't getting set, which puts us firmly in here. So something I've done here is not happening. Let's wait till he comes out again. Okay, so he's here at the moment. That's coming out as false, which obviously is a failure. So it's saying that there's no nearby resource. So that is, so what they're saying, if nearby resource is not equal to nothing, so if nearby resource is equal to something, so nearby resource is returning nothing. Yeah. Although to be fair, the position that's at is... Yeah. Okay, so I need to go back into creature. It's bright compared to what else has been on the screen. We're a newbie and want to start making games, have no team, and know a little about coding. What should I do? tutorials, I guess. The only real people learn in different ways. I learn well through trying to create something. But in order to get off the ground with anything, you need to do the basic tutorials. So there's some reasonable UE4 basic tutorials, or Unity. Unity's a really good engine as well. On the website, on their websites, the starter tutorials are pretty good. You just start with the tutorials, then once you've done a few tutorials, try and make a little game. One of the mistakes people make is they try and go too big too fast. So try and do something small to start with, and work up from there. I can only give you the experience that I've had with the process. It's been a long one. Okay, so the issue is that nearby resources is failing. So hang on, before I go into this, let's have a quick check whether that was coming out. Oh, I should probably stop this. I think it's going to tell me I have errors. Looks like a wire trace. That's just me in the. But what I'm interested in here. Okay. Where are those resources? I can't see them. Oh, they're there. Hmm. Question about your game. Can you build ant bridges to get over gaps and stuff? Yeah, that was actually a stretch goal in the Kickstarter. Ant bridges. So you'll be able to sacrifice specialist ants in order to make them form living bridges across gaps. That's interesting. I'm always interested in how people discover the game. I know a lot of them have come through streamers playing the demo. Was that the case? Did you find the game through streamers? Right, we've got an issue here. Nearby resources should be producing this message, but it's not. I'm going to try restarting the engine just to eliminate that from... Alright, fantastic. Which streamer were you watching? Which streamers were you watching? Because we had a few really big ones cover us. I'm sure this function should have been called. I'm not getting anything from it. So that's nearby resources, which should be called, but from nearest resource. There, it's called there. I had a problem where my worker ants ethereal so many A. They made a ball of ants and got stuck. Yeah, it's an issue with the demo. Yeah, Best in Slot and yeah, Master of Rolfness have both done multiple videos of the game. That was great of them to do that. I've had a chat with Best in Slot, and he's interested in covering the game further when we actually get further with it. So it's fantastic. He normally does dinosaur games, doesn't he, Best in Slot? But I guess kind of similar kind of nature theme. Getting nothing out of the... So I'm wondering whether nearby creature is even being called. Nearby resource. It's not, is it? It's not being called. Okay. So at least we know what the problem is now. Just need to work out where it is. Nearest resource. Set nearby resource. I think I've made a mistake in how I've implemented this stuff here. It's basically this is checking to see if that is equal to something, but it never will be because it only gets set after that point. Okay, so these two here. What is this check here for? But I only did it a minute ago and I have no idea what's going on with it. Right, yeah, that's me checking to see if it has interest, right? However, nearby resource hasn't been set. It's not nearby resource I need, it's nearest resource. Glad I found it. That was confusing me. Okay, so let's follow the logic through now. It finds the nearest resource. When it finds the nearest resource, it checks to see if the nearest resource is set. If that is set, it checks whether there's another ant interested on it. So it is something. So there is a near resource. Yeah. Right, I don't need to run this again. Because that's an expensive could potentially be an expensive function. Happy I got that one figured out. Okay, let's see what happens now. Damn it. I'll get there with this. I'll get there. So I'm going to wait till he gets to a position where he should be able to see it. So that's returning nothing. Even though it's right next to one. Oh, are we getting outputs this time? We are indeed. It's doing spotted some actors, checking for nearby resource. Spotted some actors, checking for nearby resource. This hasn't been an easy task to accomplish. So it's spotted some actors, so that's in nearest resource. It's done checking for nearby resources. So at least these functions are being run now. Checking for nearby resources. It's running checking for nearby resources, but then I don't actually think it's returning anything. Ugh! The same problem I flipping flip foot had before. I've just got to budget for now. Well, not budget. You didn't hear me talking about budging. Basically, I've got to do that, and it'll be able to spot it. And I've got a feeling I know why that is. I hope I've got a feeling I know why it is. But it requires me to talk to the other dude. Okay. So now it should be able to spot it. Hey. Hey! I mean, we got further, right? Okay, so let's work out why that crashed. Attach to component. I think I know why this is broke. And it's because a soldier has never picked anything up before. This is the first time in the game's history that a soldier has ever picked anything up. And the issue is that I haven't given it a mouth. So my next task is to give the soldier a mouth. Right, let's have a quick read of the text. When is the next demo coming? I'm not sure when the next public demo is coming. We're going to be working on what I'm working on at the moment, and on Monday I'll be working on a build for the show floor, because we're at EGX on we're at EGX a week on on the 22nd of September for EGX game show, and we're working on a build for that. We're also at Ento 16, which is an entomology conference, on the 8th of September. I'm going to try and get something ready for that, but I'm not sure if I'm going to manage it, so it might just be the old demo. However, I don't think we're going to make those demos publicly available. The demos, I think, are just going to remain being the underground, and it probably won't be for a little while, because we'll want to wait till we've perfected the underground controls. Okay, moving on. When you guys get more into the game, can you make it so young ant in nursery and only the old ones harvest and do things like that? It's actually going to be up to the harvesting only the young. So young ant is nursery. The game is a strategy game first and foremost, and we're going to maintain that. Kind of looking at ant age, and that is more of a it's more as it more if it was more of a simulation game. We have talked about the possibility of doing a simulation mode, although it definitely won't be in the first release of the game. It'll kind of depend upon the success of the game. In the game, you'll be able to choose which ants do the nest tasks and which ones you want on the surface, gathering food and helping attack and that sort of thing. You'll be able to say, right, I want this room full of ants to be assigned to the surface to do things. I want these ones to stay underground and do tasks under that. Are you the entire staff? If not, where's the rest? Why is it only you working? We are a we're not. We don't have a physical office. We work remotely. I am in Liverpool. Matt is based in Birmingham, and Liam is actually in Germany at the moment. So there's the three of us working on it in separate locations. Matt works on it full time. I have another job for 3 days a week. Liam actually has another full time job. So Matt works on the game completely full time, and that's the Kickstarter money is to kind of keep him going. I don't take any of the Kickstarter money. We can't afford to pay more than one of us from the money that we've raised so far. Once the game is to an extent that we can release it, hopefully it'll be a success. And if it's a success, I would love to be able to do this full time, because I love programming games. So yeah. 3 guys, different location. Oh, Mike's already answered all this. Will they have lifespans? They won't. We've actually toyed with the idea of lifespans before. It was years ago. It was one of the initial things we were toying with, and that was whether we were going to go more down the RTS route or the simulation route. But the levels aren't really. The levels will last anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour to complete, I think, in the game. And it doesn't really allow for lifespans to be relevant. Although I was discussing the idea of having just kind of an endless sandbox mode. So it's an option, and we'll certainly think about it, but it's not going to be a priority in development to make that sandbox mode. That'll be something that, if the game did well, or if we received funding outside that allowed us to spend more time on those sort of game modes, we would pursue it in those circumstances. Okay, I completely forgot what the last thing I did was. I'm repeating this album now. I need to change it. I'm getting very hungry now, so I don't think I'm going to be on for much longer. But hopefully we can get... Right, so it crashed, didn't it? When it crashed, what happened? I said I knew exactly what it was that it crashed at. Oh, God, I forgot. It's because they haven't got a mouth. Yeah. Yeah, gonna make a mouth. Thanks. Okay, so if we have a look at the worker models, I think it's in blueprints, not in the AI side of it. It's in the creatures side. So, actually, no, it's gonna be in the assets, I think, because it's actually on the model itself, I think. So if I have a look at the worker. Oh look, the wood ants. Matt started putting the wood ant in. I think it's the skeleton that we need to look at. Okay, so on the worker, yeah, there's this, which is a socket called mouth. A socket in Unreal is used for, it's for example used in a guy's hands when he's got a gun. In this case, I'm using it to attach a food item to it. But I don't think we've got a mouth for... It's a capital M as well, so I must remember that. So we're looking at... The other thing it might be is that the black ant might not have a pickup animation. Which I suspect it probably doesn't actually. So I need to add a socket. How do I do this? I used to know. I obviously used to know because I did it for the other one. Add socket, there we are. Right, so that might be the problem. The other thing that might be the problem... I think my session on the... on the source control may have gone. Can't believe... Yeah. Yeah, log back into the source control. Okay. It's alright. We're doing alright. Right, so it's either that or the fact that the black ant doesn't have a pickup animation. Attack, die, idle, walk. No, it doesn't have a pickup animation. Okay. So it might be that. For now, I could make it, instead of going into a pickup animation, it goes into an attack animation. It's definitely got an attack animation. That will at least stop it from breaking, but I need to tell Matt that he needs to create a pickup animation for it. So, in order to do that, I just need to go to the soldier behavior tree. Can't believe you added you added so when the ants dig a bit and you cancel it. It is damaged. But damaged, how do you have the time to that? The ants dig a bit and you cancel it. It's damaged. Yeah, it is damaged. They have they have an amount they are dug out. So if a new ant goes up to it, it will finish the job. It will still be damaged. Only the things that are added and things that aren't. Okay, so this is in. Come on, John, concentrate. You know what else is a problem here is that it might be running that, which we definitely don't want it to do. So here it's setting the animation to pick up. I'm going to change that to attack temporarily, but I need to remember to sort that one out. Okay. So let's give it a go. Maybe it'll work. Maybe. Come on. Come on. Work. Right, so first of all, I've got to do the bodge thing. Okay. Next. Assign a... Come on. Right, I need to actually follow through what's happened here. It's on creature 499 that the issue's occurring. So let's actually have a look at it this time rather than just guessing at what the problem is. I think it got further that time though. Line 499. So this is why I thought it would break. But we've... And that's the attached to component. And that's the socket, right? Mouth. But we've created that now. The stream's not going to be much longer. It's 9 o'clock in the evening here in the UK, and I can smell the wonderful food that's been cooked for me. So it's really not going to be that much longer. But I really want to get this problem solved. So it's a function called pickup actor, which all it does my viewer count's actually going up. This is the biggest it's been all day. So the maybe there's more information in the crash report. I'm going to make it crash again. It's line 499. There's no more information there. It's definitely this. So it's the picked up actor set owner this that's causing the issue. It's not actually that. So that may seem like a weird move to just comment that out, and by all accounts it is. But I'm just interested to see if it still crashes, because I really would have thought it would be the socket thing that broke it. Still crashed, even with that commented out. See, that's really interesting. It says creature H33. So the H file, line 33. Oh, that's no use. That's like the least useful information the the thing could give me. Because now I've commented that line out, it's just not telling me about it. Definitely telling me it's the execute pickup actor that's the problem. So maybe it is the socket. Right, I'm gonna. I hate to leave it on a crash, but I'm gonna have to leave it there because I'm absolutely starving, and whilst I'm hungry, I'm not gonna be programming well. So yeah, thanks so much everyone for joining for the stream. It's been good to have people with me for so long. I will upload these to YouTube. Didn't quite get the food pickup task completed yet. I will try and do it after I've eaten. At least to solve the crash issue. But it's such a sweeping change to how we've been doing things so far that it's going to cause issues as we go along. Hopefully next time I'll have it up and running and we can do some... on Monday I want to do level design. So if you're about on Monday, I should be streaming and we should be putting a level together, which should be quite a lot more visual and a bit more exciting than what we've been doing today. Yeah. sleep well if you're going to bed. And maybe I'll play a bit of a few computer games as well before I go to bed. So I'll see you later, and thanks.